We all know Mike Mentzer as the original mass man who developed the heavy-duty training system. He was famous for training hard and smart, and was known for his incredible work ethic. In fact, if you search for the term heavy-duty online, you will find plenty of resources available that are created to help you apply the same heavy-duty principles that Mentzer used to build his legendary physique. But there's one thing that most people don't realize about his training. Even though Mentzer was extremely disciplined and well-informed, when it came to building muscle, his entire approach to training was actually based around one simple principle, and that is something that most people miss when they try to apply Mentzer's training principles to their own workouts. That principle is something called time under tension. Time under tension simply refers to the amount of time that you spend during each set performing the actual work. Basically, the amount of time between when you start the first rep and when you finish the last rep. Now, this doesn't take into account any rest periods or the time that you spend doing things like walking to and from the gym, getting changed, etc. This only refers specifically to the time that you spend performing the actual work in each set. Mike Mentzer believed that by manipulating the time under tension, you could directly control how much stress your muscles experience during each workout. For example, he recommended performing some sets to failure and then performing other sets with lighter weights for higher reps with the goal of increasing the time under tension. Mentzer claimed that this would lead to what he calls a meta-adaptation. Basically, your body experiences an increase in the number of growth hormone receptors. More growth hormone receptors means that your body is more sensitive to growth hormone, which can lead to faster muscle growth. Later on, Mentzer refined his technique even further by implementing something that he called cluster sets. Cluster sets involve taking a heavy weight that you can only lift for a few reps, and then taking a short rest period between each rep. The goal here is to perform a total of 10 reps. But instead of performing those 10 reps all at once, break them up into smaller clusters. For example, you might do 3 reps, rest for 20 seconds, do 2 reps, rest for 20 seconds, and then finish off the set by doing 5 reps. You don't have to use a long rest period between each cluster. In fact, Mentzer recommended keeping the rest periods short, just long enough to recover. This is important because it helps to keep the overall volume of the set fairly high. This has several benefits. First, it leads to more growth hormone being released, which can help speed up recovery. Second, it also helps to improve the strength-to-time ratio. Basically, you can lift a heavier weight for a given amount of time, compared to doing all of your reps with a long rest period. Third, it also helps to improve your endurance with heavier weights. Again, compared to a long rest period where you're used to a lighter weight, the short rest periods challenge your endurance and force you to maintain tension with heavier weights. So for example, instead of doing all 10 reps of barbell curls with a 5-second rest period in between each rep, Mentzer would do 3 reps, then take a 20-second rest period and do 2 reps. Then another 20-second rest, and finish off the set by doing 5 reps. According to Mentzer, this would help him lift a heavier weight for a given amount of time. It would also improve his strength-to-time ratio, and it would also challenge his endurance with heavier weights. Mentzer claims that this led to unprecedented muscle growth. And although we Q and verify these claims, since Mentzer wasn't really much of a researcher and didn't keep detailed training or diet records, there's no doubt that the principles that he was applying were sound. In fact, today we know that increasing the time under tension is an effective way to build muscle strength and endurance. We also know that increasing strength and endurance leads to more muscle being built. Not only does it place greater demands on the muscle fibers, which stimulates anabolic signaling and boosts protein turnover rate, but it also allows you to lift heavier weights, which places even greater demands on your muscle fibers. Now, this isn't an excuse to perform endless, super slow negative reps until failure with every single exercise. Doing so would require far too much recovery time. I personally recommend sticking to a traditional linear progression for most of your sets. However, incorporating a variety of time under tension variations can be beneficial. So for example, you might perform the majority of your sets with a regular tempo, but then finish off your workouts by performing a few sets to failure, or using cluster sets to increase the time under tension while still lifting heavy weights. If you want to learn more about how to build muscle strength and size, check out the links below. I'll see you guys soon.